Hello everyone, welcome to a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam. My friends, I have a lot to talk about today. There's a lot to discuss and a lot to analyze because there's a lot going on in the world of politics. I think you know that. My friends, the last few days have been very busy for me. There's a lot going on. This is 2024. There's a lot going on because it's a presidential election year. And so I anticipate that this year is going to be a busy one. But the past few days in particular were very busy for me because I attended a really big event in Appleton, Wisconsin. Now I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit, but let me first say a few other things. My friends, I always follow economic updates, and as an American consumer, I experience the economy every single day, and I meet a lot of people. And I hear a lot of different opinions and thoughts and concerns from Americans. So I talk about so many different issues on my podcast. I share my own thoughts, I share my own views and opinions, and then I also talk about things that I hear from others. Now, over the weekend, I was in Appleton, Wisconsin. Appleton is a beautiful state. It's in northeast Wisconsin, and you may be wondering why I was in Appleton. Well, let me tell you. In Appleton, over the weekend, I attended the Republican Party of Wisconsin's annual convention. It was a great event, and I have a lot of things to say about the event. My friends, stay connected with me, and as always, I welcome you to share your thoughts and opinions with me. You can connect with me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Truth Social. And you can also go to my website, tossifanam.net. If you want to email me, you can email me at tossif@tossifanam.net. That's my email address. My friends, I appreciate you continuing to listen to my podcast, so let's get right into the discussion today. And as I said, there's a lot to discuss today. So, my friends, I believe in exercising the First Amendment right to free speech, which is why I do this podcast. This is about being vocal. This is about being fearless. There's a lot of fear among some people. Not everyone, but some people, a lot of people. Because these days, expressing one's political views can result in, a lot of problems in personal lives. And I understand that. I mean, in America right now, there are people who stay silent. They don't talk about their political views because they are afraid to offend their friends or colleagues or neighbors. Not everyone. As I said, there are many people who are vocal and they're fearless. I am vocal, I am fearless. But there are people who are afraid to say which political candidate they support. They're afraid to express their political views because they believe that their views may not align with the views of their friends and neighbors. Once again, that's not true for everyone, but there are a lot of people who stay silent. And then, of course, there are many others, many people who are becoming more and more vocal about politics. But then, there are many who stay silent. Now, I always encourage people to be vocal, to be fearless, and to stay informed and to stay engaged. Learn about what's happening in the world. Learn about your political candidates who are running for various offices. Express your own views. Ask questions. Because we must all be informed citizens. We must all be informed citizens. So my friends, the first thing I want to talk about today is the economic prison that exists today. An economic prison with freedom absent. You may be wondering, what prison am I talking about? What am I referring to? I always talk about freedom. Freedom is what makes us free, and we are supposed to be free. We are human beings created by one God, and we are supposed to be free. Our freedom comes from God, our Creator. Our freedom is not granted by another human. We are free because God has created us. However, it is true that there are human beings out there who may try to limit our freedom. And that's what seems to be happening right now. In the United States right now, there are forces that are trying to limit our freedom. My friends, we know when people are in jail or in prison, they are not free. We know that when people are held in captivity, they are not free. But even if you are not in jail, even if you are not in prison, even when you are not held in captivity, you can be in a state in which you have no freedom. Does that sound confusing to you? Am I confusing you? Am I saying things that don't make sense? Well, I'm going to explain that, so please stay with me. If you carefully analyze the current state of our country, then you will see that we are losing our freedom. It may seem that we are free, but it may seem that we are free because we're not in handcuffs. We're not in handcuffs. We're not locked inside a room. We are free to walk and free to talk. But let me ask you, are we really free? Are we really free? Ask yourself that question. Are you really free? My friends, I think that a lot of people in this country right now, a lot of people are in economic prison. What exactly do I mean by that? What do I mean by an economic prison? I mean that the economy in the United States right now, the economy is such that our movement, our choices, and our actions are being limited. I will explain. People in this country, they work hard. They work hard hoping to put food on the table. People work hard hoping to be able to save money for the future. People work hard so that they can be financially sound. People work hard so that they can have money to invest. People work hard to move forward in life. People work hard to make progress in their career. People work hard to improve their lives and the lives of the people in their family. And people are free to pursue happiness. Americans are free to pursue happiness. But in Joe Biden's economy, many Americans find themselves in an economic prison. Inflation erodes the value of money. I think you already know that, right? Inflation erodes the value of money. So no matter how much people work hard, they are falling behind. This is the reality that Americans have been facing since Joe Biden came to office in 2021. 2021. What a year that was. Joe Biden came to office and our economy started going in the wrong direction. This is an economic prison for many people because many Americans feel that they are being held captive. The dollars that they earn don't mean much because of inflation, because the value of money keeps falling. So here's what's happening in the economy. An American family can now afford much less compared to 4 years ago because the value of money is falling. Many Americans can no longer afford to go out and eat at a restaurant with family on a Saturday night. Many Americans can no longer go and watch a sporting event at the stadium. Many Americans can no longer afford to eat meat. Because of inflation, many Americans can no longer afford to go on vacation because of inflation, because of Joe Biden's economy. An economy in which the value of money keeps falling. So in spite of working hard, in spite of getting a paycheck, in spite of doing the best that they can do to make progress in life, people are falling behind. It's like someone's pulling people from behind. It's like someone's preventing Americans from being successful. It's like someone's keeping Americans captive, keeping people locked in a room of economic despair and frustration. If people work hard and they still can't move forward in life because inflation keeps eroding the value of their money, I call that an economic prison. And this is the economic prison that is the result of Joe Biden's administration's policies. The Biden administration's policies have resulted in this economic prison. And this is sad. This is the economic prison of the present day. This is the economic prison that many Americans find themselves in. Think about gas price. Gas price is affecting the mobility of American citizens. Because of high gas price, as a result of the Biden administration's war on fossil fuels, many Americans have limited the number of miles they drive. Many Americans are traveling less. They are going out less. They want to go out. They want to travel. They want to drive. They want to visit beautiful places. But they are not doing that. They are limiting the number of miles they drive because of high gas price caused by the Biden administration's policies. The Biden administration is waging a war on fossil fuels. And so what can we call this? When Americans cannot move freely because of high gas price, are they not stuck inside an economic prison? The free market, my friends, the free market is what gives us the momentum to move forward and to be successful. The free market is a beautiful thing, my friends. Demand and supply and the free market, it's a beautiful thing. It makes prosperity possible. It makes success possible. It makes innovation possible. The free market. I support the free market. But with the Biden administration in charge, we are losing the free market. We are losing the free market. See how the Biden administration is using financial incentives to favor one type of energy source over another. See how the administration is pushing for green energy, wind and solar power, while waging a war on fossil fuels. The Biden administration is against coal, oil, and gas, but they love solar and wind. My friends, let me tell you, I have nothing against wind energy. I have nothing against solar energy. I believe in the power of wind. I believe in the power of sun. But I also believe in the free market. I want the free market to function properly. I want consumers to decide what they want. Do they prefer wind energy? Do they prefer solar energy? Or do they prefer coal, oil, and gas? Do they like fossil fuels? Let the consumer decide. Let the consumers decide. Let the market work. It's not the job of the federal government to poke its nose in the free market. Let the consumers in the market decide what they want. But the Biden administration, they favor electric vehicles over gas-powered vehicles. That's not the job of the federal government. That's not the job of an administration in charge in this country. Let the free market decide. Let the consumers have a say in the process. Demand and supply. Let that process work. The Biden administration is trying to eliminate consumer choice. The Biden administration's policies are pushing consumers into an economic prison. The Biden administration's policies are eliminating freedom. This is what's happening, my friends. Just pay attention. Pay attention to what's happening around you. Pay attention to the news. Search for the truth. Try to see the reality. Pay attention to the economy. Pay attention to what the government is doing. Listen to the different voices. Listen to the voices of the right. Listen to the voices of the left. And think and analyze. And you will know the truth. You will know the truth. My friends, the American people need relief. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. We've talked about the economic prison, but now let's talk about relief. The American people need relief. The American people are looking for solutions. We all are. There are many problems. There are many issues. There are many crises in this country. And the Americans are looking for solutions. If you are a middle-class American, ask yourself how you are doing financially. Ask yourself if you're looking for economic relief. By the way, let me tell you that the middle class is shrinking because of inflation. The middle-class Americans are struggling, and the middle class is shrinking. Let's talk about the low-income Americans. They are struggling a lot. They are struggling a lot. It's unbelievable what kind of challenges the low-income Americans are facing. Low-income individuals are not getting the help that they need because Joe Biden's allies are focused on giving our tax dollars to the illegal immigrants. And you know that I've talked about this before many times. I've talked about the border crisis. I've talked about the humanitarian crisis at the southern border. I've talked about the widespread lawlessness. I've talked about the fact that many foreign nationals enter our country. They enter our country by violating our nation's immigration laws. And once they come into the country, they expect free stuff. I've talked about it before many times. You know that. You know that. As a legal immigrant and a naturalized American citizen, I want border security. I believe that we must stop illegal immigration. We must secure the southern border and stop the influx of illegal immigrants. And how many times have I said that before? Many times. Many times. So what's going on? While low-income Americans need help, while low-income families are struggling, Joe Biden's allies are focused on giving our tax dollars to the illegal immigrants. For the Democrats, helping low-income American citizens is not the priority. It's not the priority. Not the priority for the people on the left. They are busy helping illegal immigrants. The Democrats, Joe Biden's allies, they are busy helping illegal immigrants. And I've talked about this before many times. Look at New York City, look at Chicago, look at Denver. These are just a few names. See what the left-wing politicians are doing in those cities. See what the Democrats are doing. The radical left loves illegal immigrants, but they don't want to help low-income American citizens. Many Americans are feeling helpless. They feel like they are being left behind. Many Americans are working hard and falling behind. And Joe Biden and his allies don't care about the American people who are struggling, who are in need. Because they are focused on helping illegal immigrants. Homeless veterans. Who will help the homeless veterans? There are many senior citizens living in poverty. Who will help these seniors? There are many American children who are struggling. Who will help these children? There are so many other American people who are in need of help, but Joe Biden and his allies care more about the illegal immigrants. They are not helping the American citizens in need. So let me ask you this question. I've talked about the need for relief. Now let me ask you this question. How can we ensure that the Americans in need get help? What can be done to address the growing crises in our country? I want you to think about it. Ask yourself these questions. Just look around yourself. Look at your surroundings. Look at what's happening in your neighborhood, in your village, in your city, in your state. And ask yourself, how can we ensure that Americans in need get the help? Americans, many Americans, especially low-income Americans, in this economy, they are suffering because of inflation and they need help. So how can we ensure that they get help? We need leaders who will put Americans first. Keep that in mind. We need leaders who will put Americans first. And the opportunity to elect freedom-loving American leaders is coming up in November. Just a few months from now, November 2024. Remember that. There's an opportunity to elect freedom-loving American leaders. We need leaders who will prioritize America rather than some foreign country. Of course, we need leaders who will ensure that our international alliances are strong. We need leaders who will strengthen our relationship with foreign countries. We have lots of allies, international allies, so we have to strengthen those relationships. But we must always put our country first. Keep that in mind. America first. So now let's talk about the 2024 election, the presidential election that's coming up. And it's not just the race for the White House. There are other important races that you must keep in mind. Now let's talk about the presidential race first. It seems to me that Donald Trump is ahead in many polls. And that makes perfect sense because people remember how good the economy was when Trump was in office. Americans miss those days. They miss prosperity. They miss peace. There's lack of peace in the world right now. There's lack of peace in the United States right now. There's lack of peace, and there's also lack of prosperity. Republicans are looking for solutions. There's a lot of hard work that the Republicans must do to win in November 2024. It's wonderful to see that Trump is ahead in many polls, but polls are polls. Election day will reveal the reality. Sometimes polls are right, sometimes polls are wrong, so you can't trust the polls 100%. And in fact, many polls reveal different results. Some polls will show that Trump is ahead, some polls will show that Biden is ahead. So pick the poll that you want to believe. But in general, keep in mind that polls are polls. But the real thing, the main thing, is the election. My friends, I can tell you that the Republicans are feeling quite energized regarding November 2024. But at the same time, they are feeling frustrated because of the ongoing crises. On one hand, there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel if Trump wins in November. But then November is still months away. And in all these months, the economy might get worse because the Biden administration is still in charge. So it's a mixed feeling. It's hope mixed with growing pain. There is hope of relief. There is hope of a better future. But what about now? The days are long and economic suffering is intense because the Biden administration is still in charge. Each and every day that the Biden administration is in charge, things continue to get worse. My friends, I want to talk about Wisconsin. I want to talk about what's going on in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is extremely important when you think about November 2024. We are a big country. There are so many states. But Wisconsin is important because Wisconsin is a battleground state. It is a battleground state. And the question is, who is going to win Wisconsin? Is it going to be Donald Trump? Is it going to be Joe Biden? Who's going to win Wisconsin? Who will win the Electoral College votes from Wisconsin? That's the question. My friends, I was looking at Real Clear polling earlier today, and I see that the Emerson poll, CBS News poll, Bloomberg poll, Marquette poll, all these polls show that Trump is ahead in Wisconsin. Trump is ahead in Wisconsin. That's good news. As I said, Wisconsin matters because it's a battleground state. It's a swing state. And I also pointed out, and let me repeat, it was amazing that Trump won Wisconsin in 2016. And now the question is, will Trump win Wisconsin again? Things are looking good. Things are looking positive. Polls are revealing that Trump is ahead in Wisconsin. But according to a Quinnipiac University poll, the poll that looked at registered voters in Wisconsin, that poll reportedly revealed that Biden is ahead. I was kind of shocked when I saw, that poll result. Reportedly, 50% went for Biden, according to the poll, and 44% went for Trump. Now, this was the result in a two-way race, according to the poll, the Quinnipiac University poll. But if you include independents and Green Party candidates, independent and Green Party candidates, then Biden is at 40%, Trump is at 39%, which is really close. RFK Jr. is at 12%, and then the others get the rest. And so, as I was researching, this appeared to be the only poll that showed Biden as ahead. The rest showed that Trump is ahead. So I don't know what to think about this. You can draw your own conclusion about these polls. Which one do you think is more accurate? I don't know. I'll let you pick your favorite poll. And, one thing I must note is that these polls were conducted at different times, so the timing also does matter. Are you conducting a poll in April or in May, beginning of April, end of April, beginning of May, middle of May? I mean, are you going to be doing polls in June, July? Obviously, there will be polls done, I think every month going forward. And so, depending on the timing of the poll, the results can vary. So, as I said, as I was researching, this Quinnipiac University poll seemed to be the only one that showed Biden as ahead, Biden leading in Wisconsin. The rest showed that Trump is leading in Wisconsin. So draw your own conclusions. Which one do you think is more accurate? I don't know. And so, I'm not going to, I'm not going to say trust this poll versus that poll. You make that decision. You draw your own conclusion. So let me tell you now what I did this weekend. For weeks, I was waiting for Republican Party of Wisconsin's annual convention. The convention took place in Appleton over the weekend. Appleton, Wisconsin. Appleton is a beautiful city. It is 2 hours away from where I live in Madison, Wisconsin. And I mean 2 hours by car. It's a beautiful drive. So my mother and I are both delegates from Dane County, from the Republican Party of Dane County. So we're both delegates from Dane County, and we attended the convention as delegates. And let me tell you, my friends, the convention, the Republican Party of Wisconsin's annual convention, is always an opportunity to meet up with our conservative friends from all over the state. The event energizes people. The event shows unity. And this year, the theme was about unity. The official theme of the event was United to Win. I love that theme. United to Win. The theme focuses on unity and also on the importance of winning. United to win. Amazing. We have to be united to win. Winning is important. Republicans must win so that we can change the direction. Right now, because of the Biden administration, our country is heading in the wrong direction, and people are suffering as a result of that. We are heading towards more financial crises and more economic pain and suffering. But we need to turn the economy around, and we need to move towards prosperity. And let me tell you, my friends, it is possible to achieve that. It is possible. And at the Republican Party of Wisconsin's convention in Appleton, that's what the freedom-loving Americans felt. There were hundreds and hundreds of people at the event, and they all understand that we must defeat the Democrats in November 2024. We can defeat Joe Biden. We can elect Donald Trump. We can defeat Tammy Baldwin. And we can elect Eric Hovde for U.S. Senate. It is possible. It is possible to win. We can regain the majority in the U.S. Senate. We can grow the size of our majority in the House of Representatives. At the state level, we can help our state assembly candidates to win. We can help our state Senate candidates in their races. We can maintain the majority in the Wisconsin state legislature. So, the convention was awesome. It was a good event. My mother and I, we enjoyed attending. It was so wonderful to see our conservative friends from all over the state, freedom-loving Americans. They came to the convention, the Republican Party of Wisconsin's annual convention in Appleton. On Friday, there were hospitality suites. My mother and I attended U.S. Senate candidate Eric Hovde's hospitality suite. He is really our hope in 2024. If Eric Hovde wins, it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Incumbent U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin, who's a Democrat, she must be defeated in November. And Eric Hovde can do that. Eric Hovde can defeat Tammy Baldwin. Eric Hovde can win the U.S. Senate seat. In Wisconsin, winning an election, especially a statewide race, it can be very challenging. It's all about turnout. Because Wisconsin is a swing state. In statewide races, sometimes Republicans win, sometimes Democrats win. It's so hard to predict. Voter turnout is extremely important. And in a presidential year, the Democrats may end up enjoying high voter turnout. And so the Republicans will have to work really hard. And that's why the convention in Appleton was so important. The convention weekend helped Republican leaders, activists, and volunteers to get energized. The leaders, activists, and volunteers felt energized at the convention. People understand the importance of unity. People understand the importance of being united to win. That was the theme, my friends. United to win. So we must all unite here in Wisconsin. The freedom-loving Americans must unite to help Eric Hovde win the Senate race. There were many speakers at the convention, and let me tell you, there was a guest speaker from Florida also. Do you know who it was? You may be wondering who was the guest speaker from Florida who visited Wisconsin. The guest speaker at Republican Party of Wisconsin's annual convention 2024. Who was this guest from Florida? It was Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds, congressman from Florida. Byron Donalds, a solid Republican in Congress. He came to Wisconsin to speak at our convention. It was so nice. It was amazing. I heard him speak. He did great. And his presence really helped. Everyone knows that Byron Donalds is a strong Trump supporter. He's a Trump ally. And his presence in Wisconsin helped solidify the support for Donald Trump. Of course, I understand the reality that there will always be a few never-Trumpers. That's what they're called, never-Trumpers. So these are, individuals who won't vote for Trump, but they call themselves Republicans. I mean, I still don't understand how someone can be a Republican and not support Trump. If you are a Republican, if you believe in protecting our rights, if you believe in if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in freedom, if you believe in limited government, if you believe in greater freedom in the market, if you believe in peace and prosperity, if you are a Republican, if you are a freedom-loving American, how can you not support Trump? That's really my question. So I still don't understand how some people are Republicans, but they don't support Trump. But that's okay. That's okay. What I'm telling you is that Trump's support in Wisconsin is growing. At the convention, you could see people with Trump hats and Trump pins, and people expressed their support for Trump in many ways. These conventions are awesome. My mother and I have been attending Republican Party of Wisconsin's annual conventions since 2014. This was our 11th convention. So there were hospitality suites and convention speeches, and there was a lot of food, and there were vendors representing various organizations, and they had set up booths. So conversations, laughter, serious talks, smiles, and just spending time together with fellow Republicans. It was a great convention. I have lots of photos and video clips from the convention. I have lots of photos that I uploaded on Facebook. If anyone wants to check those out, just find me on Facebook. So, my friends, this convention is not the only one this year that's going to bring together Republicans. There's also another convention coming up, and that's the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. That's going to be a much bigger event because it's the national convention. And obviously there will be Republicans from all over the United States who will be coming to Milwaukee. Wow. Wow. The national convention that's coming up in July. It's going to be big. It's going to be awesome. There will be freedom-loving Americans from all over the country. They'll be coming to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the RNC, the Republican National Convention. By the way, I still don't know if I will attend the National Convention or not. It is to be determined. But I had great time at the state convention. And the state convention, you know, at that event, I had conversations with other Republicans from other parts of the state, and those conversations gave me a lot of hope. And I understand that people are truly united to win. What really matters at this point, my friends, is the choice of vice president. Who will Donald Trump pick for VP? That's the question. Winning is important. The decision to pick a VP candidate would help determine the outcome of the 2024 election. Trump must choose wisely. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I believe that choosing Nikki Haley for VP would be a wise decision. I want the Nikki Haley voters to vote for Donald Trump, and the only way you can make that happen is by picking Nikki Haley for vice president. Some days ago, I saw in the news that Haley is not being considered for VP. Okay, I get it. I understand. If she's not being considered for vice president, I get it. I understand, okay? But I still hope that Trump picks Haley. It'll be a strategic decision. And this is just my thinking, okay? I may be right, I may be wrong. So if you disagree with me, let me know. Haley is not my number one favorite candidate for VP. Okay, I want to just, say that once again. She's not my favorite candidate for VP. But at the same time, I I also acknowledge that she's a highly successful politician. She served as the governor of South Carolina. She served as the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. And she's a very high-profile political figure. And she's very successful. That's true. But Haley is not my favorite candidate for VP. But I still think that it will be a strategic decision. It'll be a wise decision if Donald Trump picks Nikki Haley for VP. Because picking Nikki Haley for VP will help Donald Trump get the votes from the Nikki Haley voters. And some of the Nikki Haley voters are never Trumpers. They don't want to vote for Trump. But it is my guess that they will vote for the Trump-Haley ticket. And so that's why I say that Trump should probably pick Nikki Haley for vice president. Now, I would love to see Kristi Noem or Byron Donalds for VP. I mean, Kristi Noem would be great as a vice presidential, a candidate. Byron Donalds would also be great, but picking Nikki Haley would be a strategic decision. So, share with me your thoughts, okay? I want to hear from you what you think. If you don't agree with me, just let me know. I just feel that if Trump and Haley appear on the presidential ticket together, then that would really help the Republicans win the White House. That's my opinion. People can agree or they can disagree. But here's my message, my friends. We must win. As I said, people are in economic prison. Inflation is hurting Americans' wallets. We are falling behind financially. We are struggling. American families are struggling in this economy. Joe Biden's policies are causing permanent damage to our economy. So Republicans need to unite. At the GOP state convention in Appleton, I saw unity. I felt that we are strong and we can win in November 2024. I am very hopeful, and now it's time for Donald Trump to make the right decision to pick his running mate, to pick his VP. Nikki Haley is my recommendation, but perhaps it'll be somebody else. Perhaps there's some other name out there that we're not thinking about right now. Could it be Byron Donalds? His name is being discussed. He's a likely, it's likely that he may be chosen for VP. His name is being discussed. But maybe there's some other name out there that has not been mentioned yet. Maybe it's going to be a big surprise. I don't know. Well, coming back to Byron Donalds, because he was here in Wisconsin speaking at the Republican Party of Wisconsin's annual convention. Let me tell you, Byron Donalds, he's great. He will be great if he's chosen as Trump's running mate. In fact, when there was a vacancy for the House Speaker's position, I wrote a letter to the editor saying that Byron Donalds should be the Speaker of the House. So I definitely like him. And if he's chosen for VP, I will definitely support him. But then again, picking Nikki Haley, I think, would be a strategic move. So let's see what happens. We have to wait and see. There are some names being floated. It could be any one of them, or perhaps it'll be somebody whose name is not being mentioned yet. Maybe there's a big surprise waiting for us. We don't know. We have to wait to find out. My friends, thank you for continuing to listen to my podcast. I really appreciate it. As always, I say, please share with me your thoughts and comments. Go to my website, tausifanam.net. Send me a message. Sign up for my e-newsletter. If you want to email me, my email address is the following, tausif@tausifanam.net. You will also find me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and also Truth Social. So connect with me, and thank you for continuing to listen to my podcast. Please don't forget to share your thoughts and opinions with me. My friends, before I conclude this episode, let me just tell you once again the November 2024 election is going to be extremely important. We must be united to win. We must elect Donald Trump as president. We must regain the majority in the U.S. Senate. We must grow the size of our majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. It is the most important election of our lifetime. November 2024. It's going to be such an important election, my friends. So stay connected to my channel because I will be bringing to you more news, more updates, and more commentary. And please, if you like listening to my podcast, tell your friends, your family members, and your neighbors about my podcast. Tell them to tune in and to listen to Explore and Engage with Anam. Please help me spread my message. Please help me spread my word. Thank you again, my friends. I will be back again soon with a new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam.